and she will just explain us how Java user groups can contribute in open source communities. So thank you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Dominika Tasarz-Sochacka, and I am a community manager at Payara. And today I wanted to talk to you about how open source user groups can grow and thrive through people. So are any of you familiar with Java technology at all? Great, okay. Any of you familiar with Java user groups? Maybe members of Java user groups? Okay, great. So basically, you don't have to be a member of Java user group, or you don't even have to be familiar with Java user groups to hopefully apply some of the lessons that Java user groups can teach us. So I'm going to focus on 5 lessons that I've learned through talking to Java user group leaders on how we can make open source communities thrive. So every thriving community is built on a couple of crucial ingredients. They need care, they need a lot of effort to thrive, just like a plant. So I could have picked a lot of different keywords here, but these couple of things that I've listed here, I think, are the crucial parts of open source communities. So consistency, passion, expertise, and dedication, and I'm going to expand on these a little bit more later. But the thing is, we could have picked those keywords, and you can think about them, especially from the marketing perspective, that they are just those fluffy keywords that you throw around everywhere and they don't mean anything, but actually, genuinely they do for the open source communities. But there's one crucial ingredient that is the most important, and it's people, it's you. So basically, the technologies, the open source technologies that we are interested in, they do bring us together, but at the end of the day, it's about committers, contributors, vendors, foundations. It's about leaders of those user groups, of those open source communities. This is what makes them thrive. So Java user groups, they are actually recognized groups that can be officially registered, and the official definition is that Java user groups, or JUGs for short, are volunteer communities where Java developers connect, share knowledge, and grow together. The thing is, though, you don't have to be a developer to be part of Java user group. I am not a developer, but I am very much invested in a couple of Java user groups. But what you can do, you can contribute your knowledge, your expertise, your time, and collaborate to basically make the Java ecosystem better worldwide. And worldwide is an important word here, because this is the map of all of the currently registered Java user groups. There's over 300 of them. I'm not sure about Antarctica, it's not part of the map, maybe there is one there. So you can see every single continent except for Greenland has a Java user group. So you can imagine the diversity of those Java user groups, you can imagine how different they might operate, how different they might be in size. But I spoke to quite a few of Java user group leaders over the last couple of years, and especially over the last year as part of Payara podcast. We did a sort of Payara podcast season, which we called Java User Group Spotlight. And in those, I talked to a couple of different JUG leaders and asked them various questions about their challenges and their opportunities that they see for their user groups. And although there were a lot of differences between the Java user groups, there's also many similarities in regards to what challenges and what opportunities they face. And I think those can be applied to any open source user groups out there. So what I'm going to share with you now are those 5 lessons that I've learned from talking to those Java user group leaders, and hopefully you will be able to apply those to your open source communities. So lesson 1 is about geography and how geographies shape opportunities. So I think really important thing to mention here is that your location, where you are based, assuming that we're talking about non-virtual Java user groups or any user groups, your geography is not either good or bad. It's basically different locations will come with different opportunities and with different challenges. So the key here is use your opportunities to the best of your ability and work around your challenges. So the things that were coming up a lot in the conversations with Java user group leaders were The differences between running a Java user group in a big city. So for example, this is a Chicago Java user group. Obviously, Chicago is a huge, huge city, versus Java user groups like Garden State Java user group, which is a suburban-based Java user group in the United States, or literally rural-based Java user group in Germany, JUG Oberpfalz. So all of these have totally different locations, but it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It means that they have to use their opportunities to best of the ability. And one of the things that was mentioned a lot was public transport. So as an example, for a big city, many people, to get to the Java user group event after work, they need to use public transport, or maybe completely other way around. They actually live close or work close because there's lots of large businesses around, so they have walking distance, so it's not a problem. For Java user groups like the Garden State Java user group, they actually work with the university, which means most of their attendees, most of their members are actually students. They don't need to use any public transport. They will just walk from the lecture to the Java user group meetup that is after lectures. And the same with like rural Java user groups. They probably don't rely on public transport at all because everyone drives where they are. So it's really about using the opportunity, not thinking that one location is worse than the other. Then lesson 2 is partnerships and independence. So basically, Java user groups they need to have some sort of funding. And there's different approaches on how they achieve this funding. So some Java user groups, like Garden State Java user group, for example, they have this established partnership program where businesses like Payara can pay once a year and get all of the marketing package coming with it. And this payment obviously it contributes to organizing all of the meetups throughout the year. Some Java user groups want sponsorship for specific meetups only, and some Java user groups don't accept any sponsorship. And there's many different reasons of doing that. And again, one way is not better than the other. Again, it depends how you want to work around it. So I talked to a Belgian Java user group leader a couple of months ago, and he said, because of the bureaucracy in the country, they don't want to have anything to do with money. They don't want to register any charity or non-for-profit. But what they do is, for example, they get companies to sponsor them by letting them use their venue, for example. Or they ask those companies to pay for food and drink to be served at the meetup. So they don't have any money transfer. On the other hand, Garden State Java user group, they are happy to accept money because they have a registered company, and all of this works for them. So again, it really depends on what your opportunities are and what your challenges are. Then lesson 3, really, really important, is the leadership. And I think Java community has great leaders. It has this program called the Java Champions, and there's so many Java champions out there who are actually leaders of Java user groups, and they spend their free time running user groups, and they've been doing this for years. And those are only 3 out of many, but those are the 3 that I talked to. So there's Mary from Chicago JUG, there's Mike from Garden State JUG, and there's Simone from Torino JUG. And all of these experts, they are the best in Java because they've been there for many, many years. They have a Java champion status. So what they do, they share their expertise for free with anyone who wants to be part of the Java user group. There's no competition between Java user groups. I haven't really seen this over the years. If anything, there's cooperation. They often organize JUG tours together if there is a good speaker that want to do like 3 or 4 Java user group meetups in a week. So they all collaborate together. So it's not a competition, it's cooperation. So the leadership in open source community is hugely important, and it works really well for Java user groups. Lesson 4 is about content, and I could be talking about content all day because I have a marketing background, and over the years, what I've seen working really well for tech companies is establishing a really good technical content strategy, because at the end of the day, the engineers, the developers, want to learn. They want to learn about the technology, they want to find out more, they want to know how to use it in the first place. One of the biggest things that have been coming up in conversations with Java user group leaders were the format. So obviously, looking back at 2020, pandemic, most of the Java user groups stopped working. A lot of them moved into virtual, although they were only face-to-face before. And as we were coming out of the pandemic and we were able to start meeting again, it was another dilemma for Java user groups. What do we do now? So some Java user groups moved back to face-to-face model only. That's it. Many Java user groups went into hybrid mode, so they do live stream, for example, but they still have a face-to-face meetup. And some Java user groups never came back to face-to-face, and they only operate as virtual. Again, none of these options are better or worse. It really depends on what works for your community. One of the examples from Garden State Java user group, they are a small university-based Java user group, but they started doing virtual meetups over COVID, and they gained so many new followers, so many new members. So the moment they started coming back together again and meeting in the actual campus area, they didn't want to leave behind all of the new members, so they decided that they're going to do hybrid, and they still carry on that way. But some of the user groups, especially the smaller ones, especially the rural ones, actually ended up going back to face only, because that keeps the community very close, and it's all about the unique selling point here is, let's meet together, let's have a face-to-face connection, let's have a beer and pizza or soft drinks after, and actually be able to talk to the speaker. And then again, a lot of user groups thrive because they went virtual, and now they can actually reach so much more audience, and they are growing really well. So again, it really depends. One of the biggest things as well is listen to your members. Listen to, if you are a member of user group, it doesn't have to be Java user group, talk to the organizers and tell them what you want. Tell them what you want to hear about, what are the topics, what are the themes, what are the speakers perhaps. In Java world, speakers are really, really good at just taking part in Java user groups. I've never heard of speakers asking for money to speak. They usually, if anything, they may need some support for travel costs, but other than that, most of Java champions that are doing speaking, they are very willing to just come and speak at the Java user group meetup, which is great. So you need to find the balance between the hot topics, so the topics that are out there really interesting at the moment, but maybe not necessarily applicable in the workplace right now. But then if you, for example, work with university, yes, the hot topics are great, but actually when they go into workplace, they need to know how to use Java, not necessarily what is hot right now in the industry, but is not really made its way into the business. So again, you need to, the leaders and the members need to learn how to get that balance right and get the right speakers to talk about the right things. And consistency is really important, whatever that means for user groups. Some user groups will meet every month, so we'll meet bi-monthly, quarterly, as long as it's consistent and the members can expect another meetup at the specific time. You are basically going to be successful in that area. And the last thing, we're going to do a full circle now, going back to people again. So at the end of the day, yes, technology is bringing everyone together, but it is all about people. It's not about those tools and frameworks on their own. It's about people who actually care about them. It's about people who want to contribute. It's about people who want to share the knowledge. It's about people who want to just talk to each other. So open source thrives when we keep showing up for each other. So I want to thank you for actually being here, because SFSCon is one of those conferences that does exactly that and helps us to come together and make sure that our open source communities, whether they're Java or anything else that you care about, they grow, they thrive, and they are set up for success. Thank you.
So we still have some time for a question, or here, just one moment, the microphone will arrive.
What exactly is a Java user group?
Yes, so basically Java user groups are the volunteer organizations that come together in specific locations. So they usually are in specific cities or towns, and the whole idea is that they teach you about Java technology, and they are a great place for other Java users, whether they are very experienced or just starting, to learn about that technology, to share their experience, to teach each other about any new tools, any new vendors, etc. So basically a place for Java users to come together and share whatever they want to share.
There is another question here, and in the meantime, I share that there is a Java user group, Trentino Alto Adige, based in Trento, and sometimes organize also events here in Bolzano. But
that's great.
The question now.
Thank you very much for the talk. I was curious to understand if there, you've talked a lot about what we can learn about successful communities and community building. When are we seeing what is an unsuccessful community? And also, how do you define communities within? Is 2 people in a Java group, is that still considered a community?
Good question. So, trying to be very brief. So, what you define as a community, I think it needs to be more than 2 people. But in my experience, I've run user groups that had, for specific meetups, we had maybe 8 people. And that was already, if you can have a conversation, if you can have an exchange, I think that's enough. Obviously, having a user group that has 3 or 4 people would be very difficult to maintain, even financially. But if it's anything around 10, I think we can start there. It's a good start. And in regards to user groups potentially being unsuccessful, I think there's a lot of factors. So obviously not doing things that I was talking about may lead to an unsuccessful group. But I think it's about getting feedback from the community, finding out what community in that specific area actually needs and wants, also how often they want to meet. So maybe every month is too much, maybe it's once a quarter and that's enough. And that's, for example, a good example from the area where I'm based in the UK. The user group there is meeting every 3 months, or used to meet every 3 months, not every month, because that was too often. So listen to your community and find out what they actually want. That will actually make them come back and be part of the user group.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominika.